NFL Brazil. Sao Paulo is going to be hosting a game Friday night. And it's a great game for them to get. Packers, green. Brazil love their green and gold. Like they've got green and gold on their on the national flag.
Yeah, there'll be Packers fans in Brazil. They always travel.
They always travel, and obviously the Eagles being the opposition.
Yeah,
it's going to be a fun game. But before we talk about the game itself, the importance obviously going to Brazil. Brazil is a big market for the NFL. It's always there's a large amount of support for the game out there, and I know some players have been piping up about why are we going to a place where we are not where the players are being told to not kind of like leave the facilities and go out into the city and things like that. Because especially when you go to developing nations and you go into cities that you are not aware of good parts of the city and bad parts of the city. Same happens unfortunately, the same is the case in America.
Yeah, no, I think this is just one of those situations where I think the players are being told one thing, it's understandable, but this is more for, like, if they just use common sense, they'll be okay. They're most likely staying in like a 5-star hotel, probably the areas around.
They're going to have escort. They're going to have police escorts everywhere. So
I think this is more the league sort of knowing what players are like, and that they're going to be like, hey, you know what, I'm going to go to that side of town. Why not? And then they might end up in a situation, and it's not. It's not. So they'd rather just say, look, just stay in your hotel room. It's literally one day. Plus, I know the majority of players don't like.
Well, you're being nice about it. They. I think I agree with you in a sense, but let me break it down for our listeners. It's because they won't be allowed to get up to mischief. That's why they're complaining.
Yeah. So it's like a hard set rule, and they know they have to be on their best behavior. A lot of teams historically, even though they like the idea of going abroad, it's actually quite taxing on players as a whole because their sleep patterns. After a game, usually you relax, you go home. Usually it's because it's in the...
Also, there's a lot of scaremongering when it comes to going to countries that aren't... Unfortunately, countries which aren't ethnically white, I'm going to say it,
the majority,
there will be scare stories, correct?
Yeah, but at the same time...
Unfortunately, I have to say that, but that's
it's true.
That's the matter of fact.
At the same time, a lot of these players won't be recognized. Like some of these guys might still think Aaron Rodgers plays for the Packers. Who knows? That's all I'm saying.
I don't.
They've moved on.
The fans in, like I said, fans of the NFL outside of the US and Canada tend to be in deep. They tend to know their stuff about the game.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be good either way. I think it's a good opportunity for the league, and I think it's more like after the game they have to get ready for the second week. They've got to fly back. It's not just a case of you finish, get changed, get your car, head home.
It's not exactly that far. The flight length isn't okay. For Green Bay, is a little bit longer.
Yeah, but it's a long season, and I think this is where the players don't publicly voice it. But they do feel as though
some have been whining. Some have been whining, but
some do complain. But it's an international game. That's what they want to do now. That being said, my Eagles. Okay, so
how's Saquon going to do? All right, I'm going to ask it straight away. How's he going to do in this game?
Okay, so I actually had a deep discussion with a friend from work. He's a Packers fan, so this was kind of like really good. Packers have a really good run defense. They're solid up front, good linebackers. But the thing about my Eagles this season is that offensively on paper, I'm not being arrogant here, but our limiting factor is actually Jalen Hurts. We've got 3 receivers.
AJ Brown,
Devontae Smith,
Dotson.
Johan Dotson. Johan Dotson can beat any nickel because you can't put the number 1 corner on him. You can't put the number 2. You can't put your best cover safety directly on him
And
because
you've
he's going
got
to
Goddard as well.
so he can beat anyone that you send his
and then
way.
you've got Saquon out of the backfield, who's probably the most
Got
one of the
got
most
an elite
destructive players potentially in the league.
top 10 tight end. You can't double any of our receivers. You've got a really good offensive line. We all know Jason Kelsey. It's actually been rumored and it's come out that Jason Kelsey was running that offense, and he was actually calling a lot of the plays.
So obviously you've got Cam Jurgens now at
Cam
center.
Jurgens taken over. He's had time to develop. I'm not concerned about that, but here's the main thing. This team will only go as far as Jalen Hurts will allow it. If the offense doesn't perform, we're not looking at the other players. We're looking at Jalen Hurts now, because you really have no excuse. Considering everyone we have on the outside, we've got Saquon and yourself that can run the ball. So at this point, this team will go as far as Jalen Hurts will go. I think on paper, we should be able to beat Green Bay. So it's all on us to execute. I actually think it's going to be a low scoring game. I don't think it's going to be that high, only because the Packers have a really good run defense. And I think everything with what we're going to do is, even though we can pass it, we need to establish the run, because I don't think Hurts can start off hot like that. I'll be genuinely surprised if he starts off slinging the rock everywhere, because now he's calling the plays now. So he's making those adjustments. Whereas Jason Kelsey, Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, was running a lot of that offense. So all the looks, he basically say, this is what I'm seeing. This is what you run. That's not there anymore now. So that being said, I think it's going to be low scoring game. I think my Eagles push through 1 point ahead, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's close or even if we lose. That being said, it's week 1. So I'll take
anything
it.
Anything can really happen in week 1.
Teams are going to get blown out. Multiple teams will get blown out, because this is the first time the ones have been in a live game for 4 quarters. All right. Growing pains always going to be the case.
It's in a stadium that none of them have ever played in.
Different climate too. Don't get me wrong. All these players have played in hot climates, but there's America hot and there's South America hot. It's different. Just like how there's North Africa hot,
weather.
There's Australia hot, and there's China hot. It's different type of humidity, different levels. It's not quite the same.
Good thing for Sao Paulo on Friday at the time that they're going to be playing the game. It's
going to be humid.
No, it's going to be humid. Right, 75% humidity. Right, it's going to be humid as hell. But the lucky thing is, it's only going to be about 70 Fahrenheit, so it's only going to be like 20 degrees.
So we might see
both teams
deteriorate. We might see both teams deteriorate.
It's a good thing that they're not playing on Sunday. It's 33. It's 33C on Sunday and 92F. So it's a very good thing that they're not playing on the weekend. It's actually they've got lucky with the weather, because there's hot days this week, but like Wednesday, like today, Saturday, Sunday, the days in between aren't hot, so they've lucked out on the weather a little bit. It's going to be humid, it's going to be sticky, but teams can deal with it when it's a little bit cooler, right? You can deal with it, but when it's hot and when it's like Miami-like weather, that's when teams suffer. But so Eagles, they've got the players. Now, from an offensive point of view for the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, he got paid. Josh Jacobs in the backfield, which is a bit as good as Aaron Jones was. Josh Jacobs is probably half a tier above.
Yep, as a complete back, yes.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones worked good in a tandem, but as a complete back, Josh Jacobs is kind of like the best of both.
Right. So you've got Christian Watson. Dobbs is currently questionable. Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, and Musgrave. So, there's a lot of young players, but it's more of just they've all come together, and I think running the ball is going to be the most important thing for them. It's just whether they're going to be able to run the ball on Jordan Davis.
Yep.
And Jalen Carter.
Oof. What are you going to do?
Let's see. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. This game is going to tell us a lot about both teams, especially for me, the Eagles defense and then the Packers offense. I think for me. That's what it boils down to, in a sense that. And well, by the way, I love how you have faith in Jahan Dotson. Okay, so
I don't think it's
let's see.
crazy. I'm just
I
saying,
don't.
No,
it's
no.
another threat. That's it. He's a
Listen,
3.
you
Like,
you were so you waxed lyrical about him. He better ball out and come out with like 100 yards and a touchdown. Okay, because the way you wax lyrical about him, I hope he balls out. That's all I'm saying. Because hey, boy, at Washington, he wasn't doing it. That's why they traded him away in the division. It means that they don't think he's a threat. That's why they gave him to you guys for cheap. But anyway, I digress. But all I gotta say is, what I want to see is a development of your 2 defensive tackles, Jalen Carter and Jordan Phillips, right?
mm.
Because for the tail end of last season, both players faltered off a bit. They're young players, obviously. But coming into this season, what I want to see is that can they be the dominant deep tackles that they were drafted to be? Can that partnership blossom into what we expect to see? Jalen Carter certainly played very well towards the end of the season, tailed off a bit. Jordan Love, Jordan
Davis.
Jordan Davis is getting there. So let's see. I want to see. I'm excited to see the jump they can make, because a couple of years ago when I first got into the NFL, there was 2 defensive tackles that I loved, which was nicknamed the Williams Wall by the Vikings. Those Williams deal was so amazing in the early Vikings tenure that you couldn't run on them. Can we see that with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter? Can there be the deal in the middle to say, you ain't running here? There will be literally no run game. So that's my question there. And also, can Jordan Love, the second half explosion we saw last season, we get to find out this year if he can replicate it, because in his first full season NFL football, he was very impressive, especially the second half of the season. Is it going to carry over into the new season, especially with additional supported cast in Jordan and in Josh Jacobs? So it'll be interesting to see. For me, there's a tough one to call, because the Packers have great pieces that I love. The Eagles are going to be the favorite team here. And also, so I'll go with the Eagles, just a slight favorites, maybe a 3-point win.
Well, they are 2-point favorites,
again.
right? They are 2-point favorites in this game. So
Exactly.
you're not that far off. With Will saying 1 point and you saying 3, we're averaging at 2 at the moment. And to be honest, I do think the Eagles are going to win this one, and I think Saquon's going to be the main difference between the 2 teams.
So, hey, I think the Eagles will win this season. So it'll be interesting to see how the game pans out. It wouldn't surprise me if the Packers pull off a win too. So, but I think the Eagles will do it.
So, as a lot of the people who comment on the sport say, they have the entire off-season to prep for this game. So teams are going to be prepared for this match, and that's why you get some wonky results in week 1.
Yep.
Sometimes there's no wonky results in this game, because it's supposed to be close anyway. So if one team wins and the other, it's neither here nor there. If one team blows out the other, then it's a little bit of a wonky result, right? But we're all predicting the Eagles to win, but we all think it's going to be close. So, to be honest, let's enjoy this game in Sao Paulo, because it's the very first one over there in Brazil. And hopefully it really sparks some Brazilian future players to play in Brazil as well, because to come out of Brazil as well. So, and not just kicking the ball, even though we do love to have kickers, from abroad to try and take over